gentlemen, are Nirvana slop or not? Let's figure it out. 1, we're going to go over what is slop. 2, how to detect slop. 3, if Nirvana, how much of their catalog is slop. 4, if they're talented regardless. And finally, if you and other people are going to think they're slop or not. Without further ado, let's get into it. So here on the top, we have energy and or intensity from 0 to 11, because Spinal Tap reference. 0 to 10 on the bottom, we have catchiness, iconic, memorable. This is where we rank different songs. This is the music matrix, right? It's pretty easy to tell. Basically, slop is when the catchiness or how memorable or iconic a song is less than a 7 out of 10. If it's less than a 7 out of 10 and you're not a fan of this genre at this intensity level or whatever, you're going to call it slop. You're not going to care. Now, if you're a music nerd, you're going to be, technically, it's punk gore metal. No one else is going to care. Most people, anyone who's not you and other people who are like music culture nerd, they're going to call it bad. They're just going to call it slop. If it's catchy and it's lower intensity, it gets called pop. If it's higher intensity, it gets called rock. Why do you think they played Eminem on rock and roll stations? Duh, because higher energy production with those specific songs. The other catchy Eminem songs that were low energy didn't go on rock stations. Shocker, because rock isn't a production style. It isn't using guitars. It's an intensity level with catchiness. That's what it is. You can have pop music with rock musicians. Rock bands can make pop songs. Oh my god! And pop band can make rock song. Oh my god! What? Yeah, that's what happens. So, but energy and intensity is really easy to figure out. 0 to 3, you're dancing or you're sleeping. Sorry, this puts you to sleep, winds you down. 4 to 7 in terms of intensity, you're dancing. 7 to 11, you're moshing, you're fighting. You're lifting really heavy weights, whatever. But catchiness, how do we determine catchiness? What's the best way to get a good guide on this thing? And we're going to see that right here if this thing will work. So we need to get a good way of figuring out how catchy is something, and the best way to do that is to look at predictability. A lot of things actually go into causing catchiness, a lot of variables, but the best way for us to get an overview and to just at face value go and see, is it catchy, is it not catchy, yada, yada, yada. Is it going to be memorable, is it going to be forgettable, etc. You want things to be some level of predictable so that you can actually latch on, but you don't want it to be completely predictable because then there's no reason to remember it. So there needs to be something unpredictable or unique or quirky, but there also needs to be something familiar to it. And so you need to balance those in a way that gets you to the point where you can have a hit. But you can also have things that are really corny and incoherent together, and it still makes total incoherent slop, right? And likewise, you can have things that are just good for fans that balance these two, right? And so this is kind of, a good example is Back in Black is a smash hit and a hit, whatnot. And it's pretty predictable, but it's on the border. If it goes any less, if it's any more formulaic, it would be a bad song. And Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen is the very end of zany that can still be a smash hit. If it got any weirder and less coherent, it would just be bad. It would start to be something maybe Queen fans like, and there's a lot of songs like that if you look in the Queen catalog. Like Death on Two Legs is a pretty decent song. Pretty fun song, a lot of cool things in there, but it doesn't work nearly as well as Bohemian Rhapsody. It's a little too zany. In the sense, not that it's like too quirky or too fun or too upbeat or too kind of not cool. It's just that it doesn't stick the landing in a way that makes it actually effective as a good song. It's just a worse song, Death on Two Legs. And so now we're to look at actually Nirvana, how much of their catalog. I mean, I think Nirvana definitely goes in more this classic catalog range. This is more about how many songs, how many albums, let's say, on average. Like if you say, how many albums worth of songs do they have that are, let's say, just complete slop, right? How many are just for fans, and then how many are for everyone, right? And so that's that ratio. Like this is like Weezer, where it's either bad or it's great, right? This is someone like Slayer, Motorhead, Frank Zappa. If you dig the thing, you're going to get a lot of mileage out of the catalog, but how many hits does Motorhead have? 1, 2. It's time to play the game. But compared to the ratio, this is about a ratio thing, right? So Nirvana, they have a really high ratio. So this is kind of the third thing. So we know 1, slop is less than a 7 catchy. 2, we know how to detect slop using predictability. 3, we know that Nirvana has a catalog that's primarily not slop. Now we're going to look at our Nirvana talented. Here are the different things outside of the music quality that people kind of think about when they say someone's good or bad, right? There might be a person who just cares, like Kim Kardashian. Oh, I love Nirvana. They're a great t-shirt brand. And for them, they're going to say Nirvana's awesome, right? That's brand. Nirvana gets a green. There's some people who just care about songwriting. How catchy are they? Are these really catchy, well-written songs? If I played them with an orchestra playing these songs and you didn't have the distorted guitars, they still catchy. If you decrease the intensity and you take away the idiosyncrasies and you just take the composition, is it still really good? That's it. Does it pass the campfire test? Nirvana songs pass with friggin' flying colors. That's why people compare them to the Beatles, because they're really well-written songs that can, pass the Taylor Swift campfire test, which is acoustic guitar, one person singing, maybe one other person, like singing the backups or singing a melody on their mouth, right? And the musicianship, does the musicianship of that band inspire people? Is it a touch point for that instrument? When you think about drums, do you think about Dave Grohl? Yes. When you think about guitar work, do you think about Kurt Cobain? Yes. When you think about vocals, you think about Kurt Cobain? Yes. So they get green, green, green. So this is where it gets really interesting because they have a really good catalog. Everyone's going to probably agree that their catalog is catchy. Some people might say it's too intense for me. For some people who are little daffodil punk people or daffodil pop indie people, they can't handle anything that gets close to the metal range and intensity. So if things get up here, they just say it's bad, but really it's not bad in terms of catchiness, which is really what bad gets used for, really. If you generalize when people say art is bad, what they mean, it's not good. This is generally a proxy for quality, catchiness, memorability, yada, 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 etc. None of this is a perfect distillation of what they mean and what they're talking about. But in general, people will say things are bad if they just can't handle the intensity. Like if you're a super metalhead and something's really soft, even though it's really good, you might say it's bad. That's the time you see a lot of metalheads say, oh, I still love Kiss by a Rose by Seal because it's really good. It's like an 11 out of 10 on Catchiness. Baby, I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the grave. Ooh, the more I get of you, the stranger it feels, yeah. And now that your love is a rose, the light is set on the day. But other people, here's what you do. You can only put a song on here. You can't put an album or an artist. You can plot all of them and then average. So what most people, I think, do when they say, is it slop, is it not? They go off the songs I remember, which usually ends up being their favorite 10 songs, maybe at max 10, right? And so I go, about a girl, yada, yada, yada. With the lights out, that's dangerous. Celtic Teen Spirit. Hey, hey, I do right, and then right, and down the alley, right there, and then Breed, Lithium, Drain You. Overall, they're catchy and they're energetic, and they're not slop. There you go. They end up here in the punk/rock range, and that's it. So like the video if you like the video, comment, tell me what band you want to see next, and I'll see you in the next video.